Yeah. Also, I still haven't talked to Carson or Elijah then. But yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Sucks.
I mean, Carson sent me that message I told you before, like after it happened, where he basically was like, I think you were just making jokes and they got taken out of context. He was like, just don't talk about my and Lauren's relationship anymore, please. And he was like, I hope you do good in your classes, and I think you're a really great guy and all that. Like, he basically just thought everything got taken way out of context, all that. And then Lauren was just like, I don't think you view me differently. She was like, I never thought you thought I was flirting with you. She was like, I think it's just a big old mess, and I just wanted to hear everyone's side of it. But like, they both were just like really chill about it after we had our conversation. But like, Carson has been parking next to me.
Gentlemen, I think a
So
fight's
yeah.
about to break out.
And then Elijah's been getting on, but he hasn't joined any of the parties here. So yeah, which is good because I don't want to fucking talk to Elijah. But yeah. Although to be fair, I mean I left Carson and Lauren on open, so I mean I bet if I talked to them they'd probably respond, but you know I just don't care to anymore. So I mean I'm pretty sure it's all fine with me, Carson, and Lauren, but it's just more of like that's a whole fucking ordeal that happened. But no, I don't want to talk.
The WWE Intercontinental and
And
the
so I haven't. So he
WWE
hasn't even joined the Munis of Panic party.
Introducing the challenger from Greenwich, Connecticut.
But yeah.
Dude, tomorrow night, I'm staying up late, bro. We're gonna play games or something. I'm like, we ain't just gonna sit here either. Tomorrow night, I can stay up as late as I want to because I don't have to work Thursday because it's Thanksgiving. So they're gonna pay me tomorrow too. I just looked at my account. We're getting paid early, so heck yeah. But I don't have that great of a paycheck because my tire blew last week when this paycheck was going through. So I've lost about $40 than usual that I get, which is actually surprising because, you know, I didn't get there until noon. But they may have been paying me $600 because last week I made $603, and when I was on light duty, I was making like $580, which I mean
So
it's
what, you make
close.
600 a week or 600?
I make $600 a week.
Okay, well that's pretty good. I mean, you know, like, oh, that's pretty good for like your age, you starting out everything. Like, that's not something that'd be a little rough to live on.
Yeah.
You know, but like for where you're at now, that's you have a good bit of money.
From St. Louis,
I'm about to, like, I know it's kind of silly, but you know how I used to make them videos and crap? Well, I don't really do it much no more, but it's not that well, see, that's where most of them got famous too, but I'm gonna still do it. Like, I already renamed my channel just to my name and everything and put my picture on there, and I'm wanting to be famous. I don't know why. I just want, like, I don't want to be crazy famous, but I want to have money and be able to enjoy life, which I don't want to be, which I know a lot of them say that, you know, you kind of lose your life once you get in that state, but I don't know. I want to try it, and I think it'd be awesome.
Also, a lot of the famous ones will tell you that, you know, it's a lot of work. So, you know, like a lot of them, they got famous in college and they saw like how much they were making, they dropped out. But also a good bit of them, when they saw that they were growing, they dropped out of college before they even knew they basically just to invest more in it, so that their likelihood of being successful went up. So I mean, you gotta go at it. But I mean, you can do it in your spare time. You just gotta actually do it in your spare time.
Mm-hmm.
And also one thing is it does have to be consistent, and you know, you gotta have a certain. It's gonna take a few years. So
See,
like,
I've been
you gotta
doing it
be,
since 2015, but I mean, I've
yeah,
lost a
but
lot of
you,
views. Like, you know, them little
well,
views I had, I get
yeah,
like
but
0 views or 1 view now.
yeah, but like even then, what I was saying, like, I want to start mostly streaming, but also doing like a good bit of YouTube content and stuff. And the thing is, like, you got to keep with it, and it's also got to be a certain type of content, really. You know,
Hmm.
like, or at least one that like the algorithm will probably pick up a good bit, and it's something
Or
that
like at least do something the same long enough for people to start watching, and then change it
yeah,
up.
yeah, so that you actually have some notoriety or whatever. But like, it's something that like regardless, you know, like obviously you've been doing this since 2012 and stuff, but you had a very small channel. It was just you being a kid. You're not gonna get famous doing that, not
Yeah,
unless
just
you
do a
have like
bunch
a
of
straight
different
up
things.
system. Yeah. So, but like the thing is, this really is that like, say whenever I move off to Huntsville and stuff, like I want to, you know, get my PC and do all that, like setting up all my stuff there. Like, say I start doing everything consistently, and you know I'm making pretty okay videos and stuff. You know, it's gonna take probably a good 3 years before I start getting somewhere.
Hmm.
Um, and then after that, you know, it might take longer. So, you know, it's got to be something that you can't get downstride, you know, or whatever when something doesn't pan out immediately or pan out the way that you wanted it. One thing, though, is here's one thing that a lot of people have said. Um, you you don't realize how much you value your anonymity until it's gone, which basically means this. Sure, a lot of people know you and you don't wear a mask out in public. You know, people see your face, but no one really sees your face because no one knows you, like the majority of the planet.
Hmm.
Um, but when you get very famous, you lose that. And so when you go out to try to actually live your life, all of that comes down on top of you. And, you know, sometimes it can be great. You know, you have fans come up to you and stuff, and it can be great, but at the same time, it can be a burden because, say, something goes on in your life and things start going, you know, they take a turn for the worse. And, you know, well, then you can't hide because everyone knows your face. Or, you know, say you're having a rough day and people won't leave you alone and you can't be rude because then that can destroy your image or what have you. So, you know, it's got its cons. And at the same time, though, too, like, once your face is out there and you become famous, people aren't going to forget it. You know, like, sure, you know, you're not become like this old person that no one really talks about anymore and people are like, huh, I wonder what he's doing. But, you know, like, your public image will still be there to some capacity or not. So it's something that, like, I've thought about it. Honestly, I kind of wouldn't care to have my face out there and do it, but at the same time, I kind of do value my anonymity because I'm a very private person, and, you know, I really don't like the idea of, like, you know, me wanting to have a family and all that, and then, you know, I'm trying to go out in public with, you know, like my future wife, and I want to have a family and stuff, and I'm getting bombarded by people. You know,
Yeah.
like, it's something that you gotta be careful about, because, like, you know, the dude, yeah, no one knows his face except for his friend groups and stuff, and, you know, like, yeah, he stated that he lives in Missouri, and, you know, like, his real name's Garrett, but, you know, like, people don't leak his stuff, he's very secure about his face and all that, and his information. So, like, you know, he can go out in public, and he's not, bombarded by all that stuff. And even then, right, say someone, like, gets suspicious, like, who would they do? Like, chances are that person probably isn't going to kill her or anything. Or even that. So, you know, he's very smart about that. And, you know, you get the best of both worlds, right? Because you're famous, people know who you are, at least through the internet, and you're making a shit ton of money. But at the same time, you can be an entirely different person and actually be yourself away from the screen. So honestly, I think it's kind of a better option, in my opinion at least, to, you know, not show your face or be too personal. But I don't know, I've thought about it because, like, I've wanted to do it and I would like to be famous, but at the same time, though, you know, like, shit. Do I really want to be famous? Because here's the thing, right? Say, like, I have some drama going on. Right? Like, say I become famous on YouTube or whatever, and I don't show my face. Right? So the people are like, oh yeah, the weasel, you know, a bunch of drama and all that. Well, here's the thing. Sure, I might have to deal with all that drama online, but no one really knows me. But, you know, so away from the screen, my life's still fine and dandy. I have a lot of money, and, you know, no one pins me for being that person, right? But, you know, so my face is on the internet, or whatever. Well, as soon as I walk out in public and someone recognizes me, then I might have a swarm on my hands, you know? So, you gotta be careful, but at the same time, if you're anonymous, you might miss out on a lot of the good stuff there in person, right? Where, like, people won't recognize you and come up and hug you and say, you saved my life when I was in a really dark place, or, you know, all that. So it's a double-edged sword, but I personally value my anonymity a bit more than most. I probably would still show my face at some point, but, you know, like, even then, I value stuff like that. But I don't want to get too big to the point where it's like, you know,
Taylor Swift.
yeah, or to the point where it's like I literally could never be a normal person again. Because like a lot of people have said that, right? Where they're like, I can never live a normal, and they're like, because I've talked about this, right? They have every material thing they could ever want, yet they're so unhappy because I mean, a lot of them, you know, they're lacking in the spiritual department. Well, I mean, you know, I'm not God. I can't truly judge that, but you know, from what I am allowed to judge and what I can, I would say, yeah, a lot of them, you know, work on Christ in their soul. But, you know, the truest and realest things they better work on. But, you know, just in the practical, earthly, material sense, like, a lot of them just can't go to the grocery store without paparazzi or someone snapping a picture of them wearing baggy clothes and with their hair messy, without people like, ew, look at him there. Or, you know, or like they can't even just move off to the deep end and no one recognizes them. Like John Mayer, he's one of the world's most famous musicians and guitar players and singers, and he's one of my favorites. He bought a house in Montana out in the middle of nowhere, except like in a small like local town or whatever, and he would be like, if he said an interview how like 1 minute he'd be in LA or whatever watching TV, and then like 2 hours later he'd be out in Montana washing the dishes, guessing on Hollywood, you know, to use the animals or whatever. And he would laugh about it because, you know, he's got his feet, he's got one foot in a blue state of California, and he's got his one other foot in a red state of red state of Montana. And he said that he loves both of it because, like, a lot of the people there, you know, he was like, they know him, but he was like, they're not going to make some big deal about it because, you know, they respect, hey, he wants to escape and whatever. And he said he actually loves Montana and his house up there and everything like that, and he doesn't get trailed or he doesn't have all the backlash or bad things, you know. But like, you just gotta be clever about it, because, you know, I mean, it can come all down to it, or, you know, something might get leaked, or one of your friend groups, right? One of your good friends, they got dirt on you and they're going down publicly. You think they're your real friend? No, they'll probably drag you down too, right? I mean, just for example, right? None of us are famous, and look what Elijah did to me and the friend group there, right? I mean, that's just how it is. So imagine if, like, you're really famous and that's like your life, and you make a film, and, you know, you get into an army, it's one guy and he decides to leak your face, you know, your whole entire anonymity gets washed out and a bunch of drama. I mean, more people would probably side with you because you're like, I didn't want people seeing my face. You know, more people would probably be like, it's okay that we saw your face, you're good. Go back to being comfortable, you know? Like, at least good friends would be like that. You know, it'd be like the scene in Spider-Man 2. But, you know, like, at the same time, you're going to get that very vocal crowd, even if it's a smaller, you know, section, they're a lot louder than the majority, so they might make it out to be like, you know, oh, your public image is record. So, like, you just got to be very conscientious about all of that. But that's assuming you make it to, like, a couple more subs and, you know, you're making a lot of money and stuff. But that's, like, you know, you got to be careful. Which is where, like, whenever I start doing my YouTube stuff and VPN, like, or streaming, like, I'm gonna have all my VPNs and stuff set too, anyway, because part of my job is I'm gonna be having to write code, and, you know, I want to be safe about that and have all the best software. I also go in the dark web in my spare time, and I really don't feel like, you know, someone getting my information, or the government coming kicking at my door. So all the VPNs and everything. But also I can protect my information. Say there's some creep that truly wants to get a picture of me. He'd have a very tough time hacking it. Also because I'm a smart cookie. But it's just stuff like that you gotta watch out for. But I mean, I want to do it just whenever you and I actually kind of set up this, because I actually want this to be a thing, is that our group kind of starts becoming streamers and YouTubers. But I want to get you to
couch.
Yeah, I want to actually. Yeah, you remember that from all those years ago, don't you?
I just thought of something though what we could do, but VPN. I mean,
I want to set you up with a VPN.
We could play video games and just talk at the same time, deep conversations, and play video games at the same time.
Well, that was basically my idea, but it's basically the Game Grumps, which is my favorite YouTube channel of all time, and Danny Avedon, who's one of the Game Grumps, is one of my all-time favorite musicians ever. With his band Ninja Sex Party, and so is Aaron, he's one of my favorites. And Markiplier is actually really close friends with him too, and stuff, and a lot of the YouTuber stuff But yeah, that was basically my idea. And I was like, shit, that's Game Grumps. But I mean, we could still have a similar format. We would just change it up a bit. But I wouldn't be copying them really, and that's something I would love to do. But here's the thing though too, right? Say we all want to do the couch things. We'd probably all. Here's what I was saying we would do is that we'd all have our own personal channels or whatever, and we'd do a lot of online content, talking on Discord and playing games and all that. But at the same time, we could have a group channel where we would all have our couch, moments or whatever. But that's the thing is, right? We'd all have to meet up at someone's house or something, or if we had to rent out a studio or something, we'd all have to meet there. And if you live in a different state, you'd have to go to that state or something. Which, I mean, if you're making enough money, that shouldn't be a problem or anything. But the only thing is, Abby might have a problem with that. Tyler is all talk. No offense to him, and no offense to you and Abby. And that's just stuff you gotta keep in mind now. So it's it's Kermit. He said that he wanted to stop doing movie stuff and wanted to start focusing on family, so he kind of went off the grid a little bit. It's stuff you gotta do like that. But I mean, I want to see the couch thing, but Tyler pretty much is just. It's yeah, I can get a good job doing it. Dude, I can make so much money as a machinist. I'm Tyler. I love you to death. I respect machinists. They're one of the most respected crews out there. I'm it's not rocket science. I was yes, it's difficult, but at the same time, it isn't. I was I personally know several machinists that just click a few buttons and then they sit there and drink a 24-pack of beer and say the most disgusting, sexist things to women. I was my sister is a certified machinist and was the top person there at the tech school, and she had dropped out of several places, got offered amazing positions, and it seemed great and everything, but she was half the people there were old fogies that sat around and drank beer and clicked a few buttons on a freaking keypad. I was so stop making it out to be some crazy thing. And I was plus you're not going to be making. He said that something him making $70 an hour. I was Tyler, that's my career path money. I was you're not making that much money. I was not unless you become a coder for making those machines. And I was that would be basically doing stuff close to my job, so you wouldn't even be a machinist at that point. That you would be in infrastructure and mechanical engineering and electronic engineering. I was you'd be doing that. And he was well, my job's pretty much the same as an engineer. And I'm no, the fuck it isn't. I was an engineer doesn't sit there and just tinker with shit. My physicist was, my professor was saying, he was real engineers, he was you're in a laboratory or you're in a manufacturing plant. He was so you're basically either in a laboratory somewhere with the lab coat on, or he was like, you're in some office room somewhere where people are building the things, and he was like, you're gonna be sitting there in a room with computer simulations, writing code, and he was like, you're gonna be scribbling away at chalkboards, doing a bunch of math and science, and he was like, you're gonna be doing R&D basically. He was like, you're what's called an applied scientist. So he was like, you do theory, but he was like, you also do practical stuff. He was like, you basically are the middleman as an engineer. He was like, you do the theory stuff, and you come up with all these ideas, but you also have to make it into a reality and make it practical and cost efficient. So he was like, you're a thinker for a living. He was like, you're not doing blue collar work. He was like, you're not sitting there doing hands-on, getting your hands dirty stuff. He was like, at most you'd be sitting there in the laboratory testing something you and your team developed. And he was like, you're going to be doing science. He was like, that's what you're doing as an engineer. He was like, you're not a welder, you're not a machinist, or any of that. He was like, you're not even an architect or a drafter. He was like, you don't draw the blueprints. He was like, you come up with the idea, and then you design things and analyze it to get the proper concept, and then you make that go down the list so that the drafters can draft up the drawings for it, and then the machinist gets that drawing from the drafter and then does it. I was like, an actual engineer is an applied scientist. Like, you do research and development. Basically, like, okay, you know in The Amazing Spider-Man where Andrew Garfield is like sitting there in his room writing down a bunch of math and stuff, and he's like developing the web shooters, or like he's sitting there tinkering and stuff, but he's also doing a bunch of math and science shit.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like testing it, like doing a bunch of tests and like, you know, seeing how they work and how it doesn't work, and he has to like do a bunch of electricity shit and all that. That's what engineering is. Or who else? Tony Stark. When he was sitting there like actually, you know, doing the math and stuff, developing the Iron Man suits and like fixing the AI and everything. That's engineering. So Tyler was sitting there going on about like how a machinist can easily do engineering stuff and all that, and I'm like, Tyler, no. I was like, engineering is ranked as like the hardest college major aside from philosophy and theology, and then I think chemistry and astrophysics. I was like, those are like the top 3 ranked, and they're all like interchangeable pretty much. I was like, machining is even on there. And I was like, I mean, plus a college degree, here's the thing. Just because a degree is difficult doesn't mean the actual field of study is, and you know, college and getting a degree is just about a job. It's not about true knowledge or delving into a subject or anything like that. It's about getting a job. That's really all it's about. And making money. So yet again, just getting a job. That's all it means. Just because you have a degree doesn't mean you know shit.
Mm-hmm.
Or that you're better. It just means you went to a school. That's it. And you chose to get a job in that field. But no, he was going on like, I think they're like 2 more years to like this thing, and they have like an engineering program or something. I was like, Tyler, that's not even full-on engineering. I was like, you have to have a full-on bachelor's minimum to do engineering. And I was like, the majority of engineers have a bachelor's, but they're in like very prestigious fields because it's engineering, which is a very, 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 very prestigious field. I was like, and most of them only have a bachelor's because that's all you need, right? Like, would you rather take a master, would you rather take a bachelor's of rocket science or a master's in like freaking English? Who do you think's smarter? Who do you think would be better at, like, you know, most things? And the bachelor's of rocket science. Who would you rather choose? A bachelor's of rocket science or a guy that is a certified machinist and then went to school to get like an engineering technologies degree, but he's still a machinist? Who would you pick, a rocket scientist or a machinist? Probably rocket scientist. Yeah. And I was like, and most people that go into that field, they only have a bachelor's, but they have so much work experience and everything that it equates to a grad degree. And a lot of them pay for grad degrees, they just get it later on because they don't need it right then and there.
Yeah.
I was like, machinists go to school for 2 years at most. I was like, and the engineering thing for it, quote unquote, is I was like, you'd be doing like the lowest level of engineering possible, where it's not even really engineering. I was like, you'd be a technician, basically. You'd be like the guy that goes into your house to see if the wires are working properly. You're not a full-on electrician. You're the guy that goes in there to make sure like the power brick is working, or the freaking the breaker. I was like, that's what you'd be doing. He got real pissed at me about it, but I was like, Tyler, hate to break it to you, but like, he gets so defensive about certain things because I guess he feels like an identity to it, or because he has so low self-esteem. But like, I'm not a machinist. I don't have experiential knowledge on it, but I have academic or encyclopedic knowledge about it, and I also have subjective personal knowledge from people in the field. They all tell me the same things. I also looked at the job stats for it. The highest paying job in the United States for being a machinist, I think, is $58,000 a year. 58. I mean, that's better than the national average, like for just average household income. But no, if you're making 70, like he said something like he'd be making like 70 or I think 80 an hour, which say so you're making 70 an hour and you're working like 4 hours a week. That means you'd be making $2,800 a week. Then multiply that by 52, you'd be making $145,600 a year.
Mm-hmm.
That's 70 an hour. Now say 80 an hour. Well, 40, 52, $166,400 a year. And that would be just you on your own, not counting if your wife worked, or what you do with your money, or if you get a bunch of benefits, which if you're going into engineering, of course you're going to get a shit ton of benefits. You're going to get the best of the best, normally. I was like, yeah, you might have higher taxes or whatever, but you get that money back in tax returns. And I was like, plus, you'd be working for such a great company, you would have other connections to other companies. Basically, like, people in my position would be set up for everything. I was like, you as a machinist, you're not going to be making as much as rocket scientists, and if you end up doing that, I won't